So this video is going to show you how to do a repeated measures analysis of variance if you have one IV, but you're testing people across 3 or more groups, how to do that in SPSS. Again, I will orient you towards the SPSS guide for much more detailed information, including explanation of all the things that I point out here in the video. So in this case, we have these subjects, 14 subjects, who were tested in 3 different conditions. So we ultimately have 3 different measures from each person, repeated measures, right? And if you had more, you could just continue to list them in columns. And so for these different 3 variables, we will now want to test using an analysis of variance if there's a difference among these group names. So the way you do this, you have your data organized and entered here. Now you're going to open up syntax, and I've already opened this up, and in the editor, it's called RM for repeated measures, one way, meaning there's just one repeated measures IV. And so we're going to use our ANOVA command. And now you notice that there's no by command. There's no by command because there's no between subjects IV. So you just list your dependent variables here. You could really, when you only have one IV, you can list them in any order, but we're going to just list them in the same order that they appear in our spreadsheet. Now what's different is if you have a repeated measures, you need this WS factors command. We have to tell SPSS how many IVs we have and how they're organized. So in this case, you're identifying the within subjects factors. We have one within subjects factor. We're calling that temp var. You could call this whatever, your independent variable, whatever you want to name it. It will appear in the output. So you could call it something meaningful, but I'm just calling it temp var. And there's 3 levels, so meaning we have 3 levels of this. If we had 10 levels, we would have 10 entries, in columns, and the number here would be 10. This information is the same as our other examples. It'll give us our cell, give us our means, our effect size, and our power. Okay. So again, if you want to run this, you just highlight and run, and you'll get it. And it looks very similar to the other kind of output. So here's your mean and standard deviations for your first IV. I'm sorry, first level of your IV, your second level of your IV, and your third level of your IV. And when you run a repeated measures analysis of variance, you're going to get some stuff that you can ignore. So this part you ignore. This is a test of linear trend in effect. So just ignore that. And you're going to scroll down to where it says tests involving your variable, whatever you called it. We called it temp var within subjects effects. This information here tells you whether or not you violated sphericity assumptions, homogeneity of variance assumptions. This is your multivariate analysis. You can keep scrolling down, and then you want to scroll down to where it says temp var. Editor is not always the easiest thing to do. You can't click on it. Temp var within subjects effects, and then you're going to have your error variance and your source of variance due to your IV. So this F, it has 2 degrees of freedom in the numerator, 26 in the denominator. The F value is 7.17. and the P is less than 0.05, it's 0.003, so it's significant. Our partial eta squared is down here, so we're looking at 35, 36% of the variance, and of course we have a fair amount of power. We rejected the null hypothesis, so this is less important. So that's how to do a repeated measures analysis of variance in SPSS.